8th of February, Rabbi Furst, Mishna, Berura. You know how Mayor's doing, Eliezer?
Why? What happened?
I haven't seen him for a couple of days.
Well, he's here on Sunday.
Yeah, yesterday, I think we saw him. We saw him yesterday. I think he was here with us yesterday.
Okay.
It was? Oh, good. Baruch Hashem.
Yeah. Yesterday. Okay.
I know on Sunday you said Cheryl had to go in. Had to go in for some more tests, but it was not. Didn't think it was anything big.
Right.
Okay. Good morning again. This is Rabbi Shlomo Furst, Yeshivat Samanavshi here in Shalim, care of Zoom. This is our second shir relating to Mishna Berura, Hilchos Purim. That brings us to Tuf Reish Pei Zion. Right, we're in Sif base again. Tuf Reish Pei Zion Sif base. I guess we're in the middle here. Let's see, where should we pick up? Let's read the Mechaber, and then we'll pick up in the middle of the Mishna Berura. Eliezer Tzvi, would you like to continue reading for us?
Mevatel Talmud Torah.
Yes.
From there, or
Yeah, we'll just read the Mechaber and the Ramah over again. Yeah.
okay. Mevatel Talmud Torah Lishmo and Mikra Megillah. You're allowed to interrupt your Torah study in order to hear the Megillah. Kol v'chomer l'shar mitzvah shel Torah. And certainly that's the case for all the mitzvahs in the Torah. Shekulam nidchu mipnei Mikra Megillah. All of them are pushed aside because of Megillah, over the reading of Megillah. She'ein lo davar shenidchu Mikra Megillah mefanav chusi meis mitzvah. Nothing pushes off the reading of the Megillah from in front of you except for a meis mitzvah. She'ein lo kovrin, does not have anybody to bury him. Hafuga bo the karov tichil of achar kore, which you should go quickly and take care of burying the mace, and then afterwards read the Megillah.
Right.
The calls lo myri ella b'dika shu laso stehem. But all this is true as long as you have time to do both of them. Va'al im efsha la'aso shnehem. If you can't perform both mitzvahs, ain't shu mitzvah doraisa nidcha mipnei mikros Megillah. There is no mitzvah of the Torah that is pushed aside in order to read the Megillah. The hard base mitzvah, in that case, mitzvah kodem, because the base mitzvah comes first. Hainu dafka b'def shelo likrov achar kach. That's only in the case where you have time, that you'll have time to read afterwards.
Very good. Okay, so let's pick up the Mishna Berura in by the Ramah. We'll learn the Ramah and the Mishna Berura, the Mishna Sifkat and Tet. You have it there.
Sifkat and test. Okay. De'ika shas, you have time. V'hu adin le'inyan mila u'megillah. In case you haven't do a bris and you're reading Megillah, ika shas also shtein. If there's time to do both of them, excuse me, Megillah kodem. Megillah comes first, mishum portum yisa, because of the publication of the miracle. The olam nogim limo kodem hamegillah. And the world is noheg to do the Milah before reading the Megillah. Kilakamon who said, well, as we say above, at the end of Simon, Tuf Reish Tzadik Gimel.
Right. So even though that the Megillah should come first, right? The Megillah should come first, but the Miniga Oilam is that the Bris Milah comes first.
Okay, aval im efshar, but if it's impossible to do both of them, Ratzon wants to say she tisbato hamitzvah deraisa lagamri im lo yaseh biyom hahu, because you're going to be mevatel the mitzvah of the Torah mitzvah completely if you don't do it on that time. Masha kasav lakameh, that's what we wrote before. Dim efshar lo likrov achachach yikrosam. It is impossible to read for him to read. You have to low likro. Hold on. Umasha Kosov Lakame, that what you wrote before. The EF Shalo Likro.
That's going to be impossible. It's going to be impossible to read
For
it.
him to read Acharkach afterwards.
Right.
Yikrenu Kodim. They should read first. Hasam lo Yavatul Lagamri Mitzvahs.
That's referring to when you're not going to mevato the mitzvah deraisa legamre.
Completely. You're right. You're still going to be able to do the mitzvah deraisa. Kvura Dakia Efshalo Likro Belila. And the Kvura can push aside because it's possible to do the burial at night. Ein Hachanami?
So
Aleph Henun Ein Hachanami?
And yes, it's very true.
And eventually the Im Lo Yeh Efshalo Likvora. It's not possible to bury him. Achakach Gon Mipnei Listim to do it.
It's not possible for him to be buried afterwards. Meaning, if you read the Megillah, it's not going to be possible to bury him afterwards. You go.
Because of robbers or things like that. Kahai Gavin, in this case, Bavadai Mace Mitzvah Kodim. This case, the Mace Mitzvah certainly comes before Mikra Megillah. So it seems to be like a couple of contradictory statements about how you handle a Mace Mitzvah. It sounds originally like even if you could do both, you do the Mace Mitzvah first.
Right. In general, that's what should come. If you have the opportunity to do the mitzvah, because that's nogea to a bezoyin of the mace and cover the mace.
And what he's saying is that if you can't do both, you would read Megillah first, even if it meant doing the Mace Mitzvah at night.
Right, because therefore, you're not obligated to forfeit the Mikra Megillah because of the Kavoros Mace, if the Kavoros Mace can be done afterwards, right? Even because you could do that, you could do it at night. So you could do the Kvora at night. So therefore, there's only time in the day to do one of the two. So you should read the Megillah first and then wait till evening to do the Kvora of the mace. Because you're not going to mevato the mace mitzvah legamre. If you have time to do both, right? So the mace mitzvah comes first because it's disrespectful for the mace to be there without a burial.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay.
But now in a case where you will forfeit the mitzvah of Kriyas Megillah, so you're not supposed to forfeit the mitzvah of Kriyas Megillah if it's going to be possible to bury later on. But if it's going to be impossible to bury later on, for example, the Mishna says that if there's going to be listing, it's going to be at nighttime. It's going to be time when the robbers are going to come out. And so what about the next day? Maybe it's not going to be possible at all. What about the next day? I'm not sure about why he doesn't say anything about the next day, but in that case, he says the mace mitzvah comes first.
Okay. All right, Yud Aleph. Ein shum mitzvah deraisa nidaches, and no mitzvah of the Torah is pushed aside. Mifnei shemikra Megillah hu rak midirabanan. Mikra Megillah is only a durabanan. Yaim betaz. Look at the taz. Shehevi b'shem Rashal Rav Shlomo Luria.
Yes, right, Rishal. That's the Marshal. And the Bach. Marshal.
Okay, and the Bach. The Talmud Mikra Megillah Kodem, that Mikra Megillah should always come first, because of the publication of the miracle of Agra, but Berura in the Gra in his explanation, Gam Kain Sover Hachi Ayin Sham. He also says that Mikra Megillah always comes first, and go see it there.
Right. Good.
But after Yikro, it is possible. it's possible for him to read. Aval imhu samach lahashechav, if it's close to nightfall, yikra mi Megillah, you should read the Megillah right away. The hameis mitzvah actually because the meis mitzvah can be buried at night.
So here it says, yeah.
Excuse me. V'hine zeh ha'atik harama b'shem mahar. What's mahara?
That's Maram Eli was Mizrahi.
Oh, this is what the Ramah says. The name of Eliyahu Mizrahi. Aval kama achronim holken al zeh, but many achronim argue on this. The sort of they hold va'afilu be'ofen sheyidcha hamegillah legamri. Even if you're going to have to push off avoid the Megillah reading completely, gamkein meis mitzvah kodem. In all cases, the meis mitzvah should come first, mishum kavod habrios, because of the general concept of kavod habrios. Achein kvar. Therefore, we have explained above, La'ayel, the dafka b'meis mitzvah b'shemeis, specifically a meis mitzvah that has died, of a lo b'shar meis, not other mason that need to be buried.
That's not, dafka b'meis mitzvah mamish, dafka meis mitzvah mamish, dafka in the absolute, the true sense of the word of meis mitzvah, meaning there's absolutely no one else to bury. Meaning you are the one and only one to bury the mace.
Okay,
that's the classical meis mitzvah mamish. That's the classical case of what the Torah is talking about, meis mitzvah mamish.
Okay.
In that case, right? That you'll be madcher mikra Megillah completely, right?
Avalo b'shar mace, but not for other mason. I feel in nifsuk sham, even if you have to interrupt them. The b'shar mason gamkein mitzvahs lahakdim kavaraso l'kriyos Megillah. Because even by other mason, there is a mitzvah to bury them before you read the Megillah.
Meaning regular Mesim, Gamkein, there is a mitzvah that you should do the Kavora before the reading of the Megillah, right?
Hecha de Yitcha al Yedei Zeh al Yedei Kriyas Megillah Legamri, Bavada Megillah Kodem Var Meso B'Layla. But if you go, it's going to mean being Mavad Megillah completely. Then you should read Megillah first and do the Kavora at night.
Right. Okay, very good. So that's the general stock is that Mikra Megillah comes first, even though that you're going to have to do the Kavora at night. And I imagine it would extend to the next day also, if it has to be, if there are places that they won't let you bury at night, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you'll just wait till tomorrow.
Right.
I imagine. Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Let's see. That'll bring us now to Tafresh Peichet in the Mechaber. These halachas are a little bit complicated, but we'll try and go through them and understand what we're supposed to be doing in this case.
Okay. You want me to continue?
Yeah, Mechaber. Tafresh Peichet.
Din krachem hamukafim chomos b'yomos Yeshua ben-Nun. These are the din of the cities that have been walled for the times of Yeshua ben-Nun. Krachem hamukafim chomos b'yomos Yeshua ben-Nun. I feel enim mukovos akshav korim b'tetzvav. I feel im heim b'chutz la'aretz. V'afil ein bahem asara badlanim. So the cities that were walled at the time of Yeshua ben Nun, even if they're not walled now, they will read on the 15th, even if they are outside of Eretz Yisrael, and even if they do not have 10 people sitting in the base medrash all day long.
Right.
V'hu shehukaf v'akar kach yoshev, o sheyashev techila Aldas lehekifu acharkach, and this is in the case where there was it was walled and after I'm sorry, in those cities that were walled and afterwards settled,
Right.
or were settled first
Tequila,
and then afterwards
Aldas,
on the
Yoshiva, on the condition that they would be.
condition that was going to be walled,
Right.
acharkach, and there was going to be walled afterwards.
Right.
Lafuki shenoda yesheshev tehila aldas shelo yikfu, to exclude those cities that that were settled first on the condition that they were not going to be walled.
Right.
Okay, so it's basically you need to settle first and add the walls later.
Yeah, meaning that's the general way of doing things was that they would settle and then put the walls around them. Well, it has to be on the condition, meaning to be considered a ir mukuf, it has to be first walled and then settled, right? Or if it was settled first, it had to be on condition that they eventually would wall it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Aleph. Hamukafin Chomos Bios Yeshua ben Nun. They're walled cities from the days of Yeshua ben Nun. Kibizman Mordechai Be'es Hanes, in the time of the Nes, Kasiv Shayudim Shebekol Makom Nilchamu B'Yom Yud Gimel. Said, I'm sorry, at the time of Mordechai, at the time of the Nes, it was written that the Yehudim everywhere fought on the 13th, the Nichu B'Yom Yudalit, and they rested on the 14th. Also, Mishna v'Simcha, and they had the celebrations. B'Shushan, Nitin Lihudim Lahachlam Im Ha'akum Gam B'Yom Yudalit, and in Shushan, the Jews were given the permission to fight with the Goyim even on the 14th. V'lo asu Yom Tov ad Tesvav. They did not make a holiday until the 15th. V'kivin sheba oso zman nechluku l'shnei yamim. And since in that time the celebration was divided up into 2 days. V'lchein kishekava Mordechai v'Esther behaskamas anshe knesset gedola. And therefore, when Mordechai and Esther established the holiday with the approval of the Anshe Knesset Gedola, Nikvoa Purim L'Doros, to establish Purim for the generations, Chelku Gam Kain Oso L'Shnei Yomim. They divided it also into 2 days. So
I have a question. What is this business of being given permission? Who gave permission to the Jews to be fighting? I thought they just.
Achashverosh gave the permission. You read it's in the 5th parak.
Yeah, Esther had to go back to Achashverosh the second day and ask for another day of battle against their enemies. It was a very the Gemara discusses this too. It was very big. Actually a big chutzpah on our part, because here Achashverosh was reading the newspapers and getting the death tolls. And like I say all the time, the death tolls were consisting of his best friends and buddies. He was looking at all his best friends and buddies. He had a lot of funerals to go to that day.
Yeah.
And now Esther's coming to ask for another day to wipe out the rest of the guys.
Oh, Esther came. Okay.
Yeah, Esther came. Yeah. It was one of the biggest miracles of Purim.
Also, you mean how Gamkin also they brought it up into 2 days. Roy Latakin Shibakol ear Shahaya Mukafos Homo Moshushan, that all of the cities that were walled at the time, as like your Shushan, Yedoma Lashushan, they should be similar to they should be similar to Shushan Lasos Betesvav, to celebrate on the 15th. The Hoya Roy Latalos Hakfod B'Shushan, and it would be fitting to raise the stature of Shushan, Latakno Shakol Ir Shahayu Mukafas Homos Mios Achashverosh, Yekro B'Tesvav, and they would say that all of the cities that were walled in the times of Achashverosh should read on the 15th.
Right, so it really should, the Mishnah Berurah is dealing with, which the Gemara discusses, is based on the Gemara Megillah, that really it should have been more appropriate to fix the cities according to those cities which were walled at the time of the events of Purim, not at the time of Yeshua ben Nun. So, because the question is, where does Yeshua ben Nun come into this picture here? What did he have to do? What did Yeshua ben Nun have to do with Purim?
Okay. Ach kivin she Eretz Yisrael hayasa haruva hareva, and since Israel was destroyed at the time by Osoes at that time, the Hayu Pezayan.
The Fizeh, according to
The Fizeh, I wrote some Kafos Bechutz La'aretz Hoshivim Mehem. The wall cities outside of Eretz Yisrael had more status than them.
Right,
They
because
came-
since Eretz Yisrael was destroyed, there were no real cities at all at the time in Eretz Yisrael that were fortified. You know, that was part of the whole plan of our enemies. Obviously, want to destroy any fortifications that took place and was set up here in Eretz Yisrael. So all the cities in Eretz Yisrael had no walls, no fortifications at that time. So therefore, what would happen would be, as Mishna was going to say, that the walled cities at the time of Achashverosh, those cities which existed in the rest of the world, those would be celebrating on Tezvav, and all the cities in Eretz Yisrael would be celebrating on Yudalit, and that wouldn't be so nice. Why?
Gal Karcha, Tiku Lekavod Eretz Yisrael, they were masakin because of the covet of Eretz Yisrael. Shekol Ir Shahayu Mukafas Biyos Yeshua ben Nun, that all the cities that were walled at the times of Yeshua ben Nun, Yikro B'Tesvav would read on the 15th. Alpha Pisha Ein Mukafos Akshay, even though we're not walled now. Bashar and the rest of the cities, Yudalit, would read on the 14th. Levad Shushan, except for Shushan, Alpha Pisha Ein Mukafas Biyos Yeshua ben Nun, even though it wasn't walled at the time of Yeshua ben Nun, Kohen B'Tesvav Mithei Shabo Nasanes, they would get to read on the 15th because the mitzvah, the nace happened there. So they get the benefit of it, even though they weren't walled from the time Yeshua ben Nun.
You know, you could ask a similar question.
Yeah.
Why Yeshua ben Nun? Eretz Yisrael was not settled in the time of Yeshua ben Nun. That was when they were just coming in and doing and fighting everybody.
Yeah, but the Canaanim had a lot of. That's what the Meraglim came back. They saw a lot of cities that were fortified. They had the Canaanim had a lot of fortified cities.
Right, but why are we giving kavod to the Canaanite cities?
Right.
We should say all those cities that were walled in the time of David HaMelech.
Yeah.
Well, but Yeshua conquered them.
He didn't conquer everybody. He fell short. At any rate, as the rabbi just said, those cities that were walled at that time, they weren't walled by us. We hadn't started building yet. They were walled by the Canaanites,
Right.
the Jebusites, and the Hittites, and the Perizzites, and the Prizzites, and the Dippazites.
Right. So
All those zites, they were all doing it. So we're giving kavod to them.
yeah. So I guess what you can say, there's a halacha, when you conquer something, it becomes yours. So through our conquest, right, everything that they had built became now ours. So like that's the whole point. It became Eretz Yisrael. It became our land. It became our land. They lost it through the battles, through the wars. So once we conquered it, it became like ours. So it's because really the whole point is, as the Mishnah Berurah said, really it should be from the time of Achashverosh. It should be Shushan should be doing it, and all those cities that were walled at the time of Shushan. But now just to give cover to Israel. So in order to give cover to Israel, so we go according to the time of Yeshua ben Nun. It's true. Let's say you did it at the time of David HaMelech and Shlomo Melech, when apparently Eretz Yisrael was at his apex in terms of its greatness and grandeur. So it could be, I don't know. I'm not sure the history. I'm not sure. They maybe maybe a lot of walled cities after the conquest, they took down the walls, like Jericho, right? So the question about Jericho. Did Jericho have a wall at the time of the conquest or not? Meaning Yeshua destroyed that. Yeah, he destroyed the wall of Jericho.
Right.
So is that considered that does Jericho keep Yud Dalet or Tezvav? What was its status? So so maybe we could look to maybe understand your question a little bit more. Maybe if I have a chance, maybe we could look into the status of Jericho. There is discussion about the status of Jericho in terms of what they are supposed to keep.
Right.
Right. In any event, I think our time has run out, so
All
I
right.
don't want to go over time.
Have a good day, everybody.
Have a good day, and Mitzvah Shem, we'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you, Barry. Thank
Have
you,
a
Lisa.
good
Thank
day.
you, Lou. Everyone be
Thank you,
well.
Rabbi. Have a great
Thank
day.
you. You too. Thank you. Shalom. Bye.